Have you ever thought why we are not able to change our habits because we think of making big changes together and then nothing changes? Welcome to Hello Friends BookTube. Today we are going to talk about the book Tiny Habits, which has been written by BJ Fogg. Rahul was an ordinary boy who felt confused in everyday life. He was about 25 years old and he worked in a small town. Rahul had big dreams, but he could not do anything in his life. He could not bring discipline. Every day he thought that everything would change from tomorrow. Rahul would often start late in the morning and snooze the alarm so that his morning would start in the wrong way. When he finally got up from bed, by the time it was time to go to the office, he would be ready in a hurry. He would eat breakfast. He would not be able to drink a glass of water properly. During this run, his mood would deteriorate and his productivity at work would also decrease. On reaching the office, Rahul felt that he was lagging behind. "And hey man, why do you come here every day?" Rahul has no answer. He knew that he had to change his habits, but every time he tried, he failed. Even in the office, he could not pay attention. On his way home from the office, Rahul often felt tired, and the entire day's fatigue and workload made him even more nervous. He used to think that after work he would do something productive like exercise, learn a new skill or read books, but as soon as he got home, he would fall on the couch and watch TV. It seemed to have become his daily routine. Even after eating dinner, Rahul thought that there was nothing organized in his life. He had to improve his routine, but he did not understand where to start. He was angry with himself that he was not able to make a simple routine. He often remembered his friends who used to say, "Why can't you be disciplined? Oh, if you plan properly, everything is possible." Rahul knew he needed a change. He saw people around him who got up early in the morning and went to the gym throughout the day. They used to be energetic and used to do something productive in the evening. He thought he could do it too, but every time he tried, he failed. Many times, Rahul used to plan to wake up early in the morning, but late at night, while running the mobile, he would catch his eye, and in the morning he would turn off the alarm and go to sleep again. He used to promise himself that everything would be fine from tomorrow, but every new day reminded him of his failures. Rahul's biggest problem was distractions. Whenever he thought of doing some important work, a notification would come on his phone. He gets entangled in the same while scrolling on social media. He does not even know how much time has passed. He tried to put his phone away several times, but every time his mind would pull him away. Once he thought he would make a to-do list so that he would know what to do throughout the day. He painstakingly wrote down all his tasks and promised himself that he would now focus on those tasks throughout the day. But the next day, his habits became his enemy again. As soon as he woke up in the morning, he got lost in his phone and kept all his plans on hold. Because of not being able to change Rahul's life, he was sinking into guilt and stress every day. He felt that he was not good at anything. His friends and family would explain to him, but he himself did not understand why he was failing to improve his routine. Every night when he went to bed, he remembered his failures and thought that he had not done anything productive throughout the day. He would feel guilty and would curse himself as to why he couldn't do such small things. This question used to bother him every day. Rahul had now accepted that his life could not go on like this. He knew that he needed to make a big change in himself, but he did not understand how it would happen. He searched for solutions on the internet many times. He watched motivational videos, but even after seeing them, his enthusiasm lasted only for a few hours, after which the same old habits gripped him. He's promised you that he would try this time, but he didn't know where to start. There were many questions in Rahul's mind, but there was no answer. He was looking for something that could show him the right direction and help him increase his productivity, but at the moment, he had only his old habits and failed attempts in his hands. Rahul's story was not yet over. It was just the beginning of the turning point in his life, from where he had to change himself. But how this question was now revolving in his mind. Rahul's life continues in the same old way. He could not concentrate on his work. He failed to change his habits. Thinking that one day he was sitting in a cafe near his city, fatigue and frustration were clearly visible on his face. He was quietly staring at his cup of coffee as if all the problems of his life were inside that cup. While hiding, his eyes fell on an elderly man sitting at a nearby table who was reading a book and taking some notes in between. There was a deep understanding in his eyes and a calm smile on his face. Rahul could not control himself looking at him, and he looked at his book. The name of the book was Tiny Habits, the small chance that changes everything. Rahul was a little interested to see this. He felt as if the solution to his problem might be hidden in that book. "Can I ask you something?" The man smiled and said, "Absolutely, son. What is the matter? I was seeing that you are reading a book called Tiny Habits. Is this book about changing habits?" The old man shook his head and said, "Yes, this book is about improving habits through small changes." There was a faint glimmer of hope in Rahul's eyes. "Sir, I have been trying to change my habits for a long time, but fail every time. Can you give me some advice?" The old man fixed his glasses and, "I understand your point, son. In fact, we often think of making big changes, but in reality, small changes only take us in the right direction." This is described in the book. The elderly man called Rahul a little closer, and while opening the first chapter of the book said, "In this book, BJ Fogg has described a simple behavior model, which is called B = M app. This means that 3 things are necessary for any behavior: motivation, A, ability, A, and prompt, P, are the right combination of these 3 to form a habit, or it helps to change." Rahul asked a little thoughtfully, "But sir, how does it work?" The elderly man explained, "Look, the son first talks about behavior, i.e., behavior is something that you want to do or want to change. Now, MAP is motivation, ability, and there are 3 factors that shape your behavior." He again looked at Rahul and said, "If you have motivation but not ability, then you will not be able to do that work. And if ability is there but motivation is less, then also it'll be difficult. You have to make the right combination of these 3, and the most important thing will be the behavior only if these 3 work together at the same time." Rahul was slowly beginning to understand that if my motivation is good and my ability is good, then I can change my behavior. The elderly man laughed and said, "You should understand exactly what BJ Fogg has said in this model. Motivation is not always constant, it keeps going up and down, but if you make your behavior easy, then you will be able to do it even with less motivation." Rahul took a deep breath. "So, sir, it means that I have to simplify my habits so that I can do them even with low motivation." The old man shook his head and said, "Yes. If you set very big goals in the beginning, then you will give up when the motivation is low. So start with small and easy steps." Rahul was relieved to hear this. Till then it seemed that he would have to score big goals immediately, but now he understood that even small steps can bring big changes. "So, the easier it is, and the more successful I will be," the elderly man said. "When you make the behavior easy, the ability increases, and then you do not need much motivation. And the most important thing is prompt, is something that signals you to take action, like if you wake up every morning and want to exercise, then you're jogging. Keep the shoes near the bed so that you get a reminder to wear them as soon as you wake up." Rahul now slowly began to understand what was the reason for his failures. He always used to put pressure on himself by scoring big goals, and when the motivation was low, he would give up. But now he understood that he had to take small steps and make his behavior so easy that he could complete it even with less motivation. Rahul said, "Remember, son, habits do not change in a day, but if you start in the right way and progress slowly, then one day." Rahul thanked the old man and thought that from today he will make a new beginning. He decided to go to his home and thought that he would try to improve his habits by breaking them into small parts. Rahul's journey had now moved in a new direction, but this was just the beginning. He still had to learn a lot and bring discipline in his life. He promised himself that he would not give up this time. Rahul felt something light on his way back home that day. Like the difficulties of his life are now slowly going to be solved, the first lesson that the old man explained to him was B = MA. He was moving in his mind again and again. He understood for the first time what was the reason for his failure. He always set big goals, for which he needed constant motivation, and when the motivation was low, he would stop. The next day, Rahul decided that he would meet the old man again and try to learn more from him. He reached the same cafe where he had met the old man yesterday. The old man was sitting there again. While reading the book, Rahul went to him without any delay and politely said, "Sir, can I sit with you again today? I found your words to be very helpful." The old man smiled and motioned him to sit down. "Son, I am here to help you." "Sir, I thought about what you said yesterday, and now I understand why I kept failing again and again. Now I want to know what I should do as the next step." The old man carefully listened to Rahul's words. "Listen and then take a deep breath and say, 'Son, now that you have understood the first lesson, the next step is about tiny habits. This is the small but important step that will help you reach your big goals.'" Rahul curiously asked Tiny Habits what it is. "Sir," the old man closed his book and said, "Look, son, to make a change in life, we often think that we have to take big steps, but in reality, change starts with small steps." That's the main message of BJ Fogg's book, Tiny Habits. It has been said that we have such. Start with small actions that can be done in less than 30 seconds. Rahul was a little startled and asked, "In less than 30 seconds? "Yes," the elderly man smiled and said that tiny habits means that you make your habits so small and easy that it does not seem difficult to do it. Like, if you want to work for fitness, then do not start an hour's exercise from the first day. Instead, start with just 2 push-ups. Rahul nodded, "But, sir, what will be the benefit of such a small step?" The elderly man had his leaning back in the chair. The son said that this is the thing. Small steps are the neem of big change. When you start with small habits, you are preparing your mind to adopt them. Once it becomes a habit, you can gradually increase it. Rahul said, "Sir, can you give me a real-life example?" The old man thought a little and then said, "Yes, of course. Let me tell you the story of a friend of mine. His name is Arjun. Mind you, he could never be motivated to go to the gym. He even took a gym membership several times. But after a couple of weeks, his motivation would go away and he would go back to his old routine. Then, one day I told him about tiny habits. I advised him to make his goals short and Enki. Every morning when you wake up, do just 2 push-ups. That's your goal." He laughed at first and said what would happen with 2 push-ups, but I explained to him that it was a new habit to his mind. It will help to create affirmations and states of life. Rahul was listening intently. The old man continued. "Arjun listened to me and started with just 2 push-ups. Initially he felt it was pointless, but gradually he started doing it daily. After a few weeks, he realized that now he was doing 2 push-ups without any effort. Then he changed it to 5 push-ups, then 10. And then gradually he started doing 20 push-ups every day." "Can small steps really make a big difference?" asked Rahul, an elderly person. Hazel nodded and said, "This is exactly the magic of tiny habits. When you adopt small habits, your mind accepts it easily, and when it becomes a habit, you can increase it." Arjun's example is proof that small steps can make a big difference. Rahul understood this lesson carefully and promised himself that he would try to improve his habits by breaking them into small parts. He thought that he would not run towards big goals from the first day, but would start with small steps. Rahul said to the old man, "Sir, now I've figured out how to start with steps. I will work on my habits by breaking them into small parts from today itself. But there is a question: if the motivation ever decreases." The elderly person smiled and said that this is the beauty, tiny habits. When you start with small steps, you do not need as much motivation as your behavior itself. And then, the lack of motivation does not stop you. You will see that as you take these small steps, your confidence and ability will increase. Rahul thanked the elderly man and, on his way back home, he felt as if he had learnt the biggest lesson of his life. He was now sure that he could reach his goals. He just had to start with small steps. Rahul's journey was now moving in a new direction. He decided to wake up in the morning and do just 2 push-ups as his first goal. He promised himself that he would practice it every day, no matter what happens. It was the first brick of a big change in his life. That he could really make a big difference in his life if he took small steps in the right way, but he still had some hair in his mind. He wanted to understand this new information more deeply so that he could firmly introduce these habits into his life. While sitting in the cafe, he said to the elderly man, "Sir, you taught me about tiny habits and I am going to apply toothsome today itself, but can you tell me some more things that will help me in this journey?" The old man smiled at him and said, "You're right, son. The right way is to start with small steps on the way, but what I am going to teach you now will make your journey even easier. It is called anchors." Rahul asked, a little surprised, "What does it mean?" "Sir," the old man, sitting comfortably in his chair, said, "Look, son, anchors means to connect a new habit with your existing habit. Like when you wake up in the morning and brush your teeth, there is a routine which is already a part of your life. Doing 5 squats after brushing, this new habit will also become a part of the same routine, which will make it easier for you to remember and perform that new habit. This is what we call anchoring." Rahul shook his head and said, "But, sir, does this make it easier to adopt a new habit?" "Exactly. When we combine a new habit with an old routine, that new habit becomes part of that routine. This not only makes it easier for us to adopt a new habit, but also makes it easier to continue of anchors. It is used to strengthen the roots of habits." "Can you give me a real-life example of this idea, sir?" asked Rahul. The old man thought of something and said, "Yes, let me tell you a story of my own. When I was your age, I also liked to focus on my fitness, but my routine was very unstable. Sometimes I went to the gym, sometimes I did not do anything for weeks. Then one day a friend of mine told me about anchors. If you want to make it a part of your life, you have to add it to your daily routine. At the time I found this suggestion a little strange, but I thought why not try it. I made a small change in my morning routine whenever I brushed my teeth in the morning. Then I started doing 10 squats outside my bathroom. This change was very small, but it was easy to do it because brushing teeth was part of my daily routine. Now I don't mind maintaining my fitness routine, as it has become a part of my established routine." On hearing this, Rahul said, "Sir, it seems very easy, but is it really so effective?" The elderly man shook his head and said, "Yes, son, this is the power of anchoring. Whatever changes we want to make in our life, if we add it to our assisting routine, then that new habit becomes more sustainable, and gradually you will see that the new habit becomes easier to carry out, because it is a new habit." Rahul listened to this lesson very carefully and tried to understand it. He thought that he can also add some new habits to his existing routine so that he can achieve his goals easily. Rahul said, "Sir, if I add some new habits to my morning routine, will it benefit me?" The old man nodded. "Of course, son. When you add a new habit to your existing routine, you have no problem remembering it, like if you wake up every morning and brush your teeth first. If you do then after this, you can make a habit of doing meditation for 2 minutes, or you can make a habit of keeping your phone away before going to bed at night. Small habits pave the way to a bigger destination. So that means I have to focus on my assisting routine and slowly inculcate new habits in it," Rahul said. The old man smiled and said, "Yes, son, you got it right. But remember to do it slowly and patiently. No big change comes in one night when you completely break a habit. Become a part of your life, only then you will be able to move towards the next step. Every new habit will become a new anchor, which will help you reach bigger goals." Rahul thought that he would start with his morning routine. He told the elderly man, "Sir, I am going to apply this lesson in my life. From today, I will make some small changes in my morning routine and make them a part of my habits." The old man was happy and said that this is the right way, son. When you wake up in the morning, brush your teeth, then do 2 push-ups or squats and gradually increase it. Go, this will be your first anchor who will take you on a journey of habits. Rahul made up his mind to take this new lesson in his life with all sincerity. He thought that from today he would make small changes in his routine and work on them continuously. Rahul thanked the elderly man and said, "Sir, you have given me a new direction again today. Now I feel that I will definitely be able to achieve my goals. Remember, son, every change starts with small steps, and when you connect your habits to a strong anchor," the old man said, smiling, "no place will be difficult for you." Rahul had already learned many lessons from the old man. He had started incorporating tiny habits and anchoring into his life, but his journey was not over yet. He knew that the old man still had more knowledge that could make his habits stronger. This is probably the most. It's more practical because it focuses on your ability, not your motivation. Ability more than motivation, sir. Can you explain what it means? Asked Rahul, a little surprised. The old man, resting his head behind his chair, said, "Look, son, motivation is a temporary thing. It never happens when you are trying to adopt a new habit. Sometimes your motivation decreases, and when the motivation decreases, you cannot maintain that habit. So you should not always depend on motivation." Zerg. He listened carefully, but did not fully understand what we should do. The old man explained that you should focus on your ability. If you find it easy to do some work, then you will not need motivation. For example, if you want to drink more water, you can always keep a water bottle with you so that whenever you feel thirsty, you have water and you drink it without thinking too much. Because you made it easy. Rahul heard the idea, but he needed an example to understand it more deeply. He said, "Sir, can you give me a real-life example of it?" The old man smiled and said, "Of course, I give you a very normal but effective example. A friend of mine always had to make a habit of getting up early in the morning, but every time his motivation was low, he would sometimes go to sleep with the alarm off, sometimes he would catch a cold, and he would not get out of bed. Sir, this happens to me too. I also often wake up in the morning." The old man nodded and said that it is true that this happens to all of us. Now look what my friend did. He made his morning habit easier. He used to keep his shoes and workout clothes near his bed so that when he woke up in the morning, he did not have to think much. He had everything ready. He also kept his alarm in the other corner of the room so that he had to get up and turn off the alarm. Gradually, it became easier for him to get up in the morning and exercise. Motivation was not so much needed because he had increased his ability to do his work. On hearing this, Rahul said, "Sir, it seems really easy. So should I also make my habits easy in the same way?" "Of course, son. If you want your new habits to be more sustainable, you have to make them easier. The easier the task, the less motivation you will need, and this way you will be able to perform your habits continuously." Rahul now understood this lesson well. He told the old man that, "Sir, I will always keep a water bottle with me to correct the habit of drinking water, and perhaps I will also make my morning workout routine easier so that I do not have to think much." The old man nodded and said that, "This is the right way, son. If you make your work easy, then you will not need motivation, and gradually these habits will become a part of your life." So he also thought about how he could further enhance his ability. He said to the old man, "Sir, can you give me more examples so that I can understand which things I can do more easily?" The old man thought and said that you already have a routine, like getting up in the morning to eat breakfast or getting ready for office. Now try to add some small habits to this routine. Like if you eat breakfast after getting up in the morning, then you can stretch for 5 minutes before breakfast. If you always go to office. If you wear headphones, you can listen to a motivational podcast to remind you of these small habits as you get older. You will see how your life changes. Rahul kept these things in mind and thought that he would implement this lesson in his life immediately. He thought that he would make his daily tasks even easier, so that he could perform them without interruption. He thanked the elder and said, "Sir, you have given me a new direction again today. I now understand that I should not rely too much on motivation, but on my own." Kulnitsatus 43. Experience like this can teach me to trust purposely in the world again. Ability should be increased. The elder smiled and said, "Remember, son, the easier the work you feel, the longer it will go on, and when you do it again and again, it will become your habit. Then you will not need motivation. because it will become a part of your life. Rahul understood this very well and decided that he would now simplify his tasks. He knew that if he took this lesson, he could make his habits even stronger. Rahul is reflecting on all the past lessons he learnt from the old man. He had started to see improvements in his life by making his habits shorter and easier, but there were still some places where he was struggling. He now wanted to understand even more deeply from the old man how he could better design his habits. The old man sensed Rahul's dilemma and smiled and said, "Son, I can see that you have now become more serious about your habits, but remember that there is a way to design habits." The first thing is stop judging yourself, Rahul wondered. If I don't judge myself, how do I know if I am doing the right thing or the wrong thing? Old man took a deep breath and explained, "Look, son, when we try to adopt a new habit and make a mistake in it, we often judge ourselves harshly. We think that we will never succeed, and this negative thinking pulls us back." Rahul listened carefully, and the old man continued, "The most important thing here is that you, yourself, learn to forgive. The development of habits is a process, and it is natural to make mistakes in it. If you judge yourself every time, you will not be able to move forward." Another friend of mine had a dream that he would wake up every morning at 5 and do yoga. He did this for a few days, but then one day he fell asleep when he woke up, cursed himself a lot, and said that he would never be able to continue this habit. The old man smiled and said he understood. That one day's mistake doesn't mean he's completely failed. He again tried to wake up in the morning after that day, and after a few days his habit was formed again. If he kept judging himself, then perhaps he would never have been able to make this habit. "Whenever I give up a habit, I feel guilty." The old man nodded his head and said, "Remember, son, it is human nature to make mistakes. Forgive yourself and move forward. This is the first key to designing habits." The next principle explained. The next principle is that you break your big goals into small parts. Often we dream of big achievements, but it becomes difficult to accomplish them. "What should we do?" asked Rahul. "I should look for help," replied Narukash. Sir Elder explained in detail that you can have a big dream, like studying for an hour every day or going to the gym every day. But if you go straight to the big goal, then the path will seem difficult. Instead of this, you break your big goal into small tasks, like if you want to go to the gym every day, then start with the first 10 minutes of your workout and gradually increase it as you find the next 10 minutes easier. Another friend of mine had always planned to run 5 kilometers every day, but when he ran for a day or two, his energy would run out and he would give up. Then I advised him to start with just 500 meters. Perhaps he always tired and gave up. Rahul understood this idea well. He thought that he should also break his big goals into small parts so that they do not seem impossible to him. The old man said, "Remember that small steps make a big difference. If you focus on small tasks, then one day big dreams will also come true." Now the old man told the third and last principle, "Do not make mistakes your enemy, as if they are a means of learning." When we make a mistake, we have two ways. Either we consider it as our failure, or look at it as a discovery. Like discovery, it means the elder explained that when you make a mistake, look at the hidden learning in it. For example, if you have not played a habit, then try to find out why you did not play that habit. Was it very difficult for you? By finding answers to these questions, you can learn from your mistakes and make them the basis for your future success. The old man gave another example to one of my students to make a habit of reading books every day. He initially thought that he would read for an hour every day. First 2 days he read for an hour, but on the third day he was so tired that he could not even touch the book. He thought that he would not be able to succeed, but then he learned from his mistakes. He thought that maybe reading for an hour was a big goal for him, so he reduced it to 15 minutes. Gradually, he started reading for 15 minutes every day, and then took it up to an hour. Had he not learned from his mistake, perhaps he would never have made a habit of reading the book. Mistakes are not just a sign of failure, but an opportunity to learn. He thought that he would also now try to understand his mistakes more deeply and make them his strength. Rahul had now understood all the 3 lessons well. He had decided that he would now stop judging himself. He would break his big goals into small parts and learn from his mistakes. He thanked the elder and said, "Sir, you have completely changed my thinking. I will now design my habits in a better way." Remember, son, the design of habits is also an art. If you make them in the right way, then no habit can go away from you. Rahul decided that day that he will make even bigger changes in his life with this new knowledge. His habits will now be stronger than before, and he will not have to be afraid of any mistake. There was a new dawn in Rahul's life. Lessons from the elderly man had completely changed his thinking habits and way of life, where earlier he was frustrated every day due to his failures and mistakes. Filled with confidence and a new energy, he not only adopted the habits taught by the elder, but also used them in real life to completely change his life. The first thing that Rahul implemented in his life was to stop judging himself. Really, whenever he tried to adopt a new habit, and one day that habit was broken, he used to feel guilty. He thought that he would never be able to succeed. But now he took the words of the elderly seriously and learned to forgive himself. Rahul starts off with a bang. That he was trying to wake up early every morning. Earlier, if he woke up late for a day or two, he used to give up his failure. But now he understood that one day's mistake does not mean that the whole plan has failed. Instead of judging himself, he began to think about why he woke up late one day, tried to better understand his sleep pattern, and found that he had to sleep a little earlier at night so that he could wake up at the right time in the morning. To learn. Rahul's second biggest change was that he started breaking down his big dreams and goals into smaller parts. Earlier, he used to make very big goals like studying for 2 hours daily or going to the gym 5 times a week. But now he understood the advice of the elders and started dividing his goals into small parts. That this would require spending time on them to some degree until the parts were easy to do. But he could never do it completely when the elderly man told him that he should study for 2 hours every day. He should start with small steps. So he took it seriously. He set a goal of reading 15 minutes every day. In the beginning, it was a very small goal, but he could easily accomplish it. Gradually, he was able to increase 15 minutes to 30 minutes. And then, after a few weeks for an hour, he fully achieved his old desire to read for 2 hours. He used to think of going to the gym for an hour straight, but now he started with just 10 minutes of exercise. Gradually he increased it, and then he could do it for an hour. Rahul's third biggest lesson in life was that mistakes were not a failure, but a learning curve. He thought his hard work was in vain, but the old man explained to him that mistakes are not failures, but an opportunity to learn. Rahul had now started to learn something new from every mistake. For the example, when he would someday make his own lesson, instead of blaming himself for not being able to follow a fitness schedule, he started thinking about why he failed, whether his schedule was too difficult, whether he should take it easy, or whether he did not plan his day properly. He thought that maybe his gym timings were not right. He changed his schedule and made the gym timings in the evening instead of the morning. This small change helped her to go to the gym regularly. Rahul realized that adopting mistakes and learning from them is the only way we can reach our goals. After putting all these 3 lessons in his life, Rahul saw real changes in his life. Where he was always frustrated, now he was filled with self-confidence. He also improved his studies a lot. Earlier, he used to come under a lot of pressure during exams and could not complete the preparation. But now he changed the way he studied. He started from 15 minutes daily and gradually reached 2 hours, so that he did not feel the pressure of studying every day. And he could easily prepare for his exams. And now he started getting better results. He also found success in the field of fitness. First, where he could not go to the gym for weeks. Now he started exercising regularly. He started with small workouts and then gradually increased his fitness level. Rahul's life was not limited to studies and fitness. He applied these habits in other areas of his life. Rahul thought that if he could improve studies and fitness in small parts, why not develop his other skills in the same way? he thought of learning guitar. Earlier, he used to feel guilty every time he was away from his friends or family that he was not able to make time for them. But now he started dividing his time into small parts. He started taking out 10 minutes every day to talk to his family and friends, which strengthened his relationships and made him feel emotionally balanced. Rahul also applied these habits in his career. He started dividing his big projects into small parts and completing them little by little every day. This not only ensured that the work was completed on time, but also improved its quality. A few months later, Rahul again went to meet the old man. There was a glint in his eyes and self-confidence on his face. He was eager to tell the stories of his new life. The old man saw the glint in his eyes and smiled. Rahul said, "Sir, what you taught me has completely changed my life. Now I do not judge myself. I am achieving big goals by taking small steps and learning from my mistakes," the old man said softly. This is the life of the sun. The real mantra is, if you design your habits in the right way, nothing is impossible. Rahul thanked the old man and promised that he will always keep this knowledge in his life. His story does not end here now, but it was the beginning of his new journey, a successful, balanced, and happy life. This was our book summary today. Do let us know how you liked it by commenting, and thank for listening.